Alright, everybody. I had a few people, or several people, comment and question about a little update, since I spent so long talking about trying to get votes for May's contest and stuff like that. So this vid's gonna have a bunch of stuff with like the voting, tournament updates and stuff. I've also had a lot of questions on, and some other stuff with that. But first, I'm gonna start with the voting, because that was the main biggest one. For those of you who, hey, I just got an email. For those of you who continue to keep checking and looking at the site, we did in fact stay in first place with like 8840 total votes, just under 9,000. So there was a sweep at the end of the votes where they got rid of fraudulent ones and stuff, which totally changed the rankings and completely switched everything around. It's really bizarre. Everybody except us lost over 50% of their actual votes. The team that was originally that ended up in second place, they had like 7K. They dropped down to 1,500. So it was ridiculous. Everybody lost votes except for us. In fact, we gained one, so that was really bizarre. I'll leave links in the description, or a link in the description to the official announcement and site and stuff like that. I waited so long to update because there was this verification crap and this sweep of votes that could drastically change things, and it wasn't officially announced until yesterday, Monday. So that's why I waited and didn't tell you guys. But heck of an awesome job. Everything pretty much just went as we all expected it could, and knew it would, and knew it should. And huge major props to all of you guys, because let's face it, it's pretty much because of you guys that it happened and it was possible. So that's really badass. So there will be those things in the description. I don't really need to spend too much more time on it, I don't think. Looking at my notes real quick here. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of it. If there's anything more, I can just add that with annotations or in the description. Oh, speaking of annotations, I get a lot of comments on some vids like, hey, what's blah 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 blah, the explanation for this? And I'm wondering, like, wait, I have 3 annotations up for like a minute and a half talking about that. So if you watch my vids and you don't have annotations turned on, this just occurred to me that some people don't, please do that. Lots of people use annotations. They're extremely helpful. I use them so much, and I make them colorful and pretty and stuff like that to fix narration mistakes, add in extra jokes, just talk a little bit more in depth about specific aspects of a situation, or what's going on in the back of my head during specific times when there's just not enough time to narrate about it. So it's really just a very integral piece of part of their narration itself. As instead of you're just watching the video, you're missing out on a ton. The annotations are just a huge boost and a huge edit after the fact that really ups the quality a lot. So if you don't see those, please turn it on, and that'll answer a heck of a lot of your questions as well. So finishing up those 2 little things, the tournament, probably the most important and most wanted to talk about thing that I proposed a while ago before finishing up those series of vids. I had a lot of really good ideas submitted from you guys. Obviously, monotype was the biggest one. I thought about having like a die type and put that as doubles, because that's kind of how it splits into. You get it. You're not stupid. A few other people mentioned the base stat total, which is a pretty good idea. Mono letter, which is pretty cool. Height and weight stipulations, which I think is really sweet, but that would take a lot of planning and me researching and looking for it to work out with. But it's definitely a very cool idea. And then of course other things like no stab, no switch, choice item only, junk like that, which are all fairly decent. But I was thinking, on my personal thought was just going with like a die type doubles tournament, because I don't want it to be some big old serious hardcore thing of let's see who the best player is, because that's bogus. The best players don't always win competitions and stuff. So a winner of a tournament's not gonna mean anything. So just the more random and ridiculous and more just general fun it's going to be, that's more of my goal. So the more ridiculous it is, kind of the better. So I kind of figured, there's all these random stipulations like no items and no stealth rock and junk to all kind of mash into one gigantic thing with, die type doubles tournament with no stab, which negates the need for having a second type, whether you use mono or whether you use singles or doubles of monotype, etc. Having no items, no stealth rock, just random stuff like that. Extra stipulations, totally randomized and make it really funny. That does unfortunately favor save players, But then I thought about it, and it's like everything favors save players. You know, if you've got AR or save, you're going to have an advantage, absolutely, regardless of what the circumstance is. So while that may kick a lot of legit players out, I guess you could just, you know, use the same guys you have now, but just not click their full moveset. I don't know. So those are some of my things I was thinking of that I was looking forward to most as far as tournament-wise goes. And another big thing people kept commenting on is if it is a mono or a die type tournament, with singles or doubles, whichever is preferred. A lot of people were mentioning, oh, you need to ban steals because that's kind of broken. I thought about it, I'm like, if you do die type, probably, because then everyone's going to pick steel because they're just going to have 3 of them, you know, and that's going to make fire and ground be like almost obligatory to pick as well to beat all the steel players. So I'd probably have to do that, at least as a main type, you know. So if you pick psychic, you could still use medical. Well, that still leaves you with like 3 of the big steals, but you know, we'll still iron all those out. Nothing's official yet, just thinking out loud. And then dragons as well was another one meant to be banned, but since elements just went uber because OMGs, they are too powerful, lols, that's not really an issue anymore because that only leaves like 3 or 4 dragons total. So those cover the main bits of information. I've also had a lot of comments about, many of you guys I'm sure have noticed I had a new background recently instead of that awesome Titan Quest thing that I had. And a lot of comments people were saying like, hey, this is really sweet. If I can remember, I'll put an annotation for the guy somewhere on this vid of who did it, Echo 5, because it is pretty cool. And it reminded me of something I had a long time ago. You know, I had a little contest for like make an intro or make a background, and if it's really sweet, I'll use it. So I ended up getting 0 good entries, so I think like a whole contest thing is stupid. But you know, if you wanted to make like a background or an intro, I'd probably respect it enough to use it at least once, and you know, maybe it would be really cool. So I'll give you guys some major props for that. Might be cool, might be not a big deal whatsoever. I don't know. Just I had a couple guys do it, and you know, I'm using one of them now. So why not extend that invitation, so to say? I think that's just about everything. I have no idea how long I've dragged on for, and I don't want to break 11 minutes. So any additional updates will be in the description. Annotations, I don't know, you know, stuff like that. Maybe I'll just make a second vid. I'm not too bad at that. Hey kitty, how's it going? You hungry though? And sorry. And I guess that's pretty much it for now. Working on a few vids. Got kind of burned out with putting up so many, but I'll still have a few on the way. Looking to do a few more roulettes. Got some LPs of Mega Man coming up. I just finished 3. It was really bad, but you know, I did it. I'm out of practice, so hopefully 4, 5, and 6 can come on the way soon with that as well. But you know, let me know what you guys are thinking in comments and junk like that, and stay tuned. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.